Hi, my name is Olivia Ann Hodges. This is my final risk assessment for my course this semester, um, APR 524. So thank you for coming along with me on this. I will be talking about OLLI at UA and a potential digital first catalog strategy. First of all, I'm going to go over our table of contents. We have our introduction, context, the reputation opportunity, risk register, scenario planning, reputation strategy, and the risk assessment itself. So, framing the purpose of this assessment is really not about print versus digital in itself. It's about how OLLI at UA manages change while protecting member trust, accessibility, and community. The reason that I chose OLLI at UA is it is one of the many parts of my portfolio that I work with, being on this marketing staff of UA Online within the Office of Teaching Innovation and Digital Education. I really love OLLI. I fully buy into their mission. It's one of my favorite groups to work with. If you've never heard of OLLI, OLLI at UA is a lifelong learning organization for adults 50 and older. We offer socials, courses, field trips, travel, which is domestic and international, and then we also offer a really wonderful community. Our members join. We have our annual membership fee, and that membership year begins on August 1st every year. And they join and they pay that membership fee. And then they'd have course package fees that they pay per semester to be able to participate with courses, field trips, travel, and more. Currently, how we share information about these courses, field trips, travel, and socials is we produce a catalog 3 different times a year. We have the fall, summer, and spring semesters. And so we have 3 different catalog runs annually. We send these out to current members, and then we use the rest of them for tabling, keeping them in racks, different things like that. And so, whenever we mail these out to members, we're spending approximately $2,000 per mailing. We do have some budget cuts looming, so being fiscally responsible is essential. And that's really, we're trying to see where we can cut either marketing cost or operational cost. So, in this, like I said, it's not really about the print versus digital. It's going to be about how OLLI manages this change. So the main stakeholders that would be affected here are going to be the OLLI members, potential members, and OLLI staff. So why does this matter? The risk in the situation is really not the operational change itself. It's going to be how members interpret that change. So we're considering this change for 2 reasons. That's financial sustainability and the ability to improve tangible benefits with reallocation of catalog mailing cost. So when you look at the situation, we can identify 2 core tensions, those being financial and then member identity and belonging. It's important to remember that for many members, the catalog is really more than just information. It's going to represent routine, access, and connection. So, as we move on to reputation opportunity, in focusing on making OLLI at UA more digital first, we know that some members and prospective members really may have a greater appreciation for that progressive approach. They'll see it as a way that OLLI is preparing members for and working with the changing times. This is going to open the door for OLLI at UA to have a lens of evolving to better serve today's members and then those that are up and coming, our prospective members. It also may alter the perception of the catalog. It's not just a product for sharing class information, but it can also be a more substantial marketing tool. A digital first emphasis will allow members anytime, any place, anywhere to spread the word in ways that they haven't easily been able to before. If they haven't had a tangible, actual physical catalog with them, they haven't been able to really share that as easily with the greater public. So by having this digital first culture shift, it will help us spread the word a little bit more. A digital first focus is also going to help members become more comfortable with the digital space, which is key. That's going to help them to have the confidence to promote OLLI via a QR code or even be more present in a space like Meta and help us share the word there. This is empowering members to make it easier to share OLLI with their friends and family, and that's really what we want is that word of mouth. So as we're looking at the risk register, so I identified um, 7 different risks. Perception of exclusion. So this is OLLI is leaving members behind. Perception of cost cutting over the member experience. Misinformation and rumor spread, such as like a pre-announcement, leak risk, a decline in course awareness and registration, a loss of tangible premium touch point, a staff burden shift in the short term, and a perception of too much change. For this briefing, I've consolidated these into 4 different themes to make this a little bit easier to discuss and digest. So if we're looking at the risk register, the identified risk, we're looking at theme one. This is going to be accessibility and the inclusion risk. This combines the perception of exclusion and then the equity gap concerns as well. The greatest reputational risk is members feeling left behind. We do not want that to happen. OLLI members that are most at risk here are going to be our older, longtime members, or those who are also maybe they're older and long time. They may also be print dependent. And then also, people may have concerns about accessibility. They feel like if they can't touch it, if they can't hold it, maybe they're not super computer savvy or tech savvy. So they may feel like we're really leaving them behind because we're not meeting them in the place where they are. This likelihood is high, and the reputational impact could be severe here. We're looking at theme two. That's the trust and narrative control. This is going to combine the rumor spread and the vocal resistance and too much change. So in a member-led organization, it's easy to see that unmanaged narratives can spread like wildfire. They spread very quickly. We cannot ignore the fact that OLLI members love to chat among each other, and there is definitely potential for a leak risk here. So these informal member conversations, they can create a misinformed view of how the organization is managing change and the member satisfaction with that change. So that's why proactive communication will be necessary, if not essential, to help mitigate this risk. The likelihood here is medium to high, and the reputational impact can be significant to severe. So moving on, we're looking at theme number three. This is the engagement risk. This is combining the decline in course awareness and the loss of a tangible touch point. So the catalog currently drives discovery and engagement. It's not just for information. So when people have a tangible product in their hand, statistically, it's going to make them more likely to keep the brand top of mind, and they're going to be more likely to engage with that brand. So the catalog in hand is going to support the browsing behavior that provides our members a space, where they're exploring different things and they're just flipping the page to do so. The generation that we're working with has statistically had print materials more so throughout their life, newspapers, different things like that. And so they like having that tangible product. The other big point here is that the catalog also supports an emotional connection between members in the program. This is done through photos and quotes from members featured throughout. So that is an important piece of the catalog that we definitely recognize as very significant. The likelihood of theme three is medium with a reputational impact of significant. Theme four is going to be the operational strain. So the short-term burden, it may increase before it stabilizes, and the members are going to most likely need increased support here. The OLLI team is already working with a very small staff, and right now they're actually understaffed as they have a position open. So they really have limited capacity for a large influx in support needs. The likelihood of this risk is high, the reputational impact is moderate. So, looking at scenario planning, I identified six different scenarios. For the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to focus on three. The best case, that's scenario A. Most likely is scenario B. And then highest risk is going to be scenario C. I've identified them here on the slides as scenario A, quiet acceptance, scenario B, silent friction, and scenario C, which is vocal resistance. For quiet acceptance, the outcome here is going to really depend entirely on the framing. It's going to be absolutely essential to frame this as an experience upgrade instead of something that can be seen as a cost-cutting measure. The communications plan is going to be needed for the specific announcement, and it's essential and so important to make sure that we have clear messaging here. We need to make sure that members understand the benefits that they're going to see with this cost-cutting measure. There will be tangible benefits for them. It's also essential to make sure that it's clearly communicated that print is still available, just on an as-needed basis. Again, we've really got to illustrate those tangible benefits. This means if we are able to cut this operational cost back, it would mean that we can have more or nicer spaces reserved for classrooms. It'll help us with things like beverage breaks or snacks at different events and functions. And it also is really going to help us be able to expand the offerings that we have. Looking at scenario B, this is our most likely one. This is silent friction. The biggest risk may not be actual like vocal complaints to the OLLI staff, to the team. It may actually be quiet disengagement. So that's going to be a little bit harder to identify. It is going to be subtle action, and this is something that absolutely is realistic. We could see reduced participation in both membership numbers and those course package purchases that have to be done to participate in the semester's offerings. And so that really could be significant. In this scenario, we also need to acknowledge the possibility that we're going to have some members that are going to struggle, but they're not going to say anything. And so that's why when we get into the reputation strategy and those recommendations, that's why this is so important to make sure that we're maintaining the clear messaging, and then we're also making sure that we have a safety net for those that really are the most vulnerable within the organization that feel like they may get left behind. We're looking next at scenario C. This is vocal resistance, and this is our highest visibility and risk. So this is the scenario where we may encounter a leak risk, which is really scary. There's also potential for a loss in narrative control because members are going to have conversations among themselves. So here it's essential to remember silence creates space for misinformation. We have to get out there and control the narrative before the narrative controls us. All right, as we move along to reputation strategy, I have worked with recommendations to create strategic pillars to reduce risk and guide the transition successfully. So, pillar one, we're going to frame this as an experience upgrade. With this, the way that we're going to do this is an anchor phrase. So, the anchor phrase we're going to use with a lot of our communications and that we're going to repeat a lot is that we're enhancing access, we are not removing it. Pillar two is going to be a gradual shift, gradually shifting authority to digital. So, a handful of OLLIs have really started working on this digital first transition and culture across the country. There are 125 total OLLI organizations across the country. They're all associated with universities and colleges. And there's about four or five that have really made positive strides moving toward this digital first transition. They have set a great example. They emphasize that this digital catalog is the most current source, which I think is going to be key with the messaging with our members too. And print is still available as needed. So, like I said, these examples of success really do show us that it absolutely can be done. It just has to be done in the right way. So then we're looking at pillar three. This is protecting our vulnerable member segments. This is absolutely critical in order to reduce perceived harshness. The OLLI staff is going to provide print by request, and then also personal support is needed as members navigate the digital first transition. So we're going to have multiple opportunities or touch points that will be made in order to create something of a safety net for those members who really may need it. As we move along to pillar four, we're going to use members to help carry the change. This is essential. The members make the organization what it is. So, leaning into the influence of members is really going to emphasize the OLLI culture and really make this add more authenticity behind this push. Excuse me, at OLLI, peer influence is really often more powerful than organizational messaging. Members are very close. A lot of members have been in for a very long time. Close friendships are formed. And so they really do trust those peer recommendations. And statistically, we also do know that peer recommendations really can mean a lot more than that organizational or institutional messaging. So the final recommendation here is that this shift is possible with a low reputational risk. In order to do so, it's essential to use the following so we can get this outcome. Clear and strong messaging, proactive communication, we're phasing it in carefully, and we're implementing in a way that preserves member trust and choice. The strategies that I've recommended and outlined are the ones that will help reinforce the trust in the organization. And ultimately, that trust is what is going to determine success. It's important to remember, especially as we're working with the messaging and the plan for this, that this is actually about evolution. It is not about elimination. Thank you very much. I enjoyed being able to present this final risk assessment, and I hope that you enjoy the opportunity to listen.